Hey guys, welcome to the WAN Show. It's our weekly show where we talk about things that hopefully matter very, very much to all of you. And if they don't, then I apologize sincerely for that. We
Pretty boring
have
week.
we have an unusual show for you today. This is the first time in quite a while that we do not have a special guest. So I had actually reached out to a couple folks, but I mean, it's the holiday season and people are all over the place.
Yes.
And CES is, we're flying out tomorrow, so it's just not that surprising to me that no one was able to do it today. So it's just going to be you and me and him simultaneously. All right, we've got some great topics for this week, guys. So number one, and this is huge, is for the first time that I'm aware of, Valve has outright removed a game from Steam. And I'm not talking about, like, removed it from the store for purchase. I mean, that's happened with all kinds of things. I'm talking about it is gone. People who bought it, it is completely gone from their libraries. We've also got some really exciting stuff with respect to eye tracking. So SteelSeries is going to be showing off a technology that is going to allow you to use eye tracking to interface with your computer. And then what else we got?
Whoa, I was working on other things.
All right, why don't I
We
finish
also
with
have a NASA using a Oculus Rift and a Kinect to control a robotic arm, which is actually really cool. And we have USB 100 watt power, or up to 100 watt power, 20 volts, 5 amps. So that's also really interesting.
Yeah, being able to actually power something like a monitor. I mean, we've seen USB monitors in the past, but they're like these slim, low power, like super not baller types of devices.
You could easily power a ProArt off of this.
Like a proper monitor off of a USB port, which is crazy. I mean, I think that when you compare that to something like Thunderbolt, all of a sudden USB starts to look a lot more interesting.
Yeah.
Anyway, so guys, intro time, and then we'll be back with the actual show that you actually want to watch, presumably, because you're here.
Hopefully. Hopefully.
So guys, our sponsors this week are Hotspot Shield as well as Intel with their Rome 2 Total War. Actually, I've been informed that it's Total War Rome 2 or something like that. So whatever we're supposed to call it, their Rome 2 Total War giveaway that allows users who buy unlocked 4th generation Haswell processor, so the 4670K, as well as the 4770K, to get a free copy of that particular game. Now, I'm just putting up the announcement video on YouTube right now because I derped out and forgot to do that. So go ahead, come on, save. You can do it, YouTube. There we go. Yes, I want to leave this page. YouTube's been doing some really janky stuff on me lately. Like, for example, I just set that to public, did not detect,
Wow.
did not know.
I watched that fail live.
Also, a really good one is I've had quite a few people asking me, "Hey Linus, why aren't your videos available on iPad and iPhone? What's the deal? What, you just want all that money? You only want your videos on monetized platforms?" No, actually, YouTube's got a pretty cool thing going on lately where what they've been doing is they changed the default. So you can't change it back unless you have a specific agreement with your partner network, and ours isn't that sophisticated, so I haven't even asked them about it yet, but I probably should at some point. No offense to anyone who might be watching. Anyway, so you have to have a specific agreement with your partner network in order to change the default to syndicate the content everywhere. And when I'm uploading, if I set it to everywhere, as soon as I make it public, it reverts to monetized platforms only. So then once it's public, I can go back in and I can change
I don't
it.
understand why mobile isn't a monetized platform.
Some mobile platforms are, some of them aren't. I think it
Oh.
depends on the app implementations. Like, I think that was part of the the whole thing where Microsoft and Google were at each other's throats over the YouTube app on Windows Phone 8 because it enabled some functionality that wasn't enabled on other platforms, like ad-free viewing, I believe, was one of them.
Oh.
And then downloading videos was another one that Google wasn't particularly pleased with.
Right.
So, I mean, but with that said, I still don't think Microsoft was at fault there because Google was kind of acting like buttheads even once Microsoft removed the functionality that was supposedly offending them.
Right.
So, let's move into our first topic, and honestly, this is one of those ones that's, I don't know, is it tech news, is it not tech news? One thing's for sure certain, and that is that it was posted on the Linus Tech Tips forum, which means that it qualifies for consideration to be featured on the WAN Show, and number two is that it is pretty darn adorable. So this was posted by Nice Hat on the forum. And this is Nightman. Is the game particularly good? The answer is no, not really. I mean, I played it.
That's not the point, though.
I played it a little bit. I know it isn't the point, but is it the point? Because hold on a second. Okay, so I played it a little bit, and like the controls are just kind of frustrating and anything. Anyway, so this was the original articles from Pixel Proposal, I guess, is the actual site where you can go to play the game, but. What 3D artist Robert Fink said was, I couldn't allow myself to do a normal proposal. It had to be special, he explained. Something we would remember forever to remind us where we started. Simple times, playing games together, growing up, and learning that games can convey all sorts of emotion. I wanted her to see all the spikes I would jump over for her. And I think it's very charming. I think if you're going to publish the game, then it doesn't necessarily matter if it's up to a certain standard of quality, but if you're going to ask for donations for the game, then it should probably be
I don't think the donations were for the game. I think the donations were in general.
Right. But it's a donation button at the bottom of a game screen in a browser.
Is it? Oh, I only saw it on the whole website.
Or on the Pixel Proposal website.
Yeah, but it's like a while away from the game. I don't think the point is that you play the game. I think the point is that you watch a video.
Okay. Well, at any rate, if you guys want to see the reaction video, it's super cute, and I think your favorite thing about it was sort of brutal, but
my favorite thing about it was that it's not the most original thing ever, and the 86% at the end. If you pay a lot of attention and you watch through the whole video, near the end it like tracks how well you did in the game, and it tracks how many coins you collected. So she gathered whatever 86% of the coins was, so at the end it fills up a heart with all the coins and doesn't fully fill up the heart, and then even though it didn't fully, like, alongside of not fully filling up the heart, it said 86%, you could do better.
Yeah, it's funny because that's exactly what my parents said to my wife.
What?
It's like, yeah, he's an A, but just barely, you know?
Why not A plus?
Yeah, why not A plus? I mean, you're Asian. You should strive for the A plus.
I tried to like make it so that like a few people would understand. You didn't have to make it like super ridiculously. Anyways, yeah.
Anyway, so that was super epic. Cute, but actually this was one that Luke added to the document after the fact, one that I hadn't seen, that I think I actually kind of like better. Okay, they're different.
Yeah, they're quite different.
It was less work to do this, but I think that in terms of if you're gonna okay. In terms of qualifying a lady to be your partner forever, if she can beat Contra.
Yep.
Right?
Yep.
So what this guy did is he modded a NES cartridge, so you can actually badass modded. Check this out, wires all over the place. And what I like about this guy is the other guy's a 3D artist already, and I'm not saying creating the game wasn't difficult and it wasn't a lot of work and it wasn't a labor of love and all that stuff. It's awesome. But this one was more like a regular dude who kind of did his best. He doesn't seem to be any kind of special programmer or anything like that. Had to fight his way.
Did a really good job.
Had to fight his way through just figuring out how to operate a hex editor. Didn't even get it quite working 100% right. But what he did manage to do was
It's his like lab and stuff.
yeah, so here's his. So like it's more like a general workshop. Like you can tell the guy doesn't necessarily do all the electronic stuff. But there's the NES console that he was presumably using for testing. All right, so here, yeah, there are all the chips. Note how many chips I went through already up top. So not an expert, and then what he did was he edited the hex data here in order to change the names of the characters of the game to his and his wife's name, which I think is super cute. So your player select is Quinn and Amy. I mean, I don't know if his wife's that butch looking in real life, but if she is, then I'm not judging her. That's fine. I'm kidding. I know there's a picture of her down below. Yeah. But I really liked this one. I thought it was super cute. So he made it so that at the end, what did it say at the end? There it is. Aww.
That's pretty cool.
And I think the biggest thing about this is just the fact that, you know what? Yeah, if she can beat Contra on the NES, then she's a keeper.
That's pretty epic.
So yeah.
And then that's them on Halloween that was taken earlier. It's not like the...
Yeah.
He just wanted to show them.
Yeah, and he left a very special note here. No, that is not an upskirt. She has shorts on. Yeah, so for those of you who were thinking, hey, I need to see this in higher resolution just to, double check and verify emulate what's going on in that picture, there is nothing going on in the picture. Grow up.
So we are having problems. We are not dropping frames. We do not seem to be lagging on this network at all, but like a ton of people can't load the stream at all.
What am I supposed to do?
Probably on Twitch's end.
It's probably on Twitch's end.
I'm just saying here so that people know that we're aware of it because I'm getting spammed on all mediums about it right now. So anyone that is watching, which is probably everyone that's not spamming me, yep, we're having problems.
Okay. All right, so moving on to our next topic here. This is actually one of our headliner topics, and I know you're an Oculus Rift dork, and I get that, but interfaces are changing in general, and Oculus Rift is not, like, VR is not the only way that interfaces are going to be changing.
I'm other ways to interface with things dork. I also bought Nia back in the day. I was looking into getting...
That's just dumb.
I was looking into getting Elite Motion.
That's being a dumb gimmick dork.
I like ways that I can interface with things that isn't normal. I find it very cool. I think this is really cool.
Do you even listen to yourself? Anyway, so this is a collaborative project between Toby and SteelSeries. Well, actually, Toby's the one with the technology. Yeah. SteelSeries presumably is investing in bringing it to market. So it's great to see guys that are forward-thinking like Valve and now SteelSeries partnering up with these technology companies to bring it to gamers. So there are a couple of videos here that I would like to check out. This one isn't one of them. Let me just see if I can find the right one.
Apparently it's a North American Twitch problem. It seems like most streams are kind of unwatchable right now.
Okay, so there you go, guys. If nothing else, there will be the archive. What I would like to do is avoid spending too much time on the live show talking about the issues so that the people who watch the archive, of whom there are actually more, don't have to sit through listening to us talk about the issues with the live stream because they're not even watching live.
I was thinking while you're loading a video.
Yeah. Well, no, I know. I just mean in general. I'm explaining why I'm not, because the chat's like, Linus, look at the chat. Yeah, I'm aware of it. We're just not going to talk about it for 10 minutes. That's all.
Yep.
All right. So let's go ahead and check out this video. All right, this is the...
Windows 8 has a start screen with large tiles.
Okay, we're not going to listen to this guy talk for 2.5 minutes, I'm sorry. But basically, he's like, okay, interfaces are changing. There's this natural swiping through stuff thing that's going on, but it's not great for the mouse because you have to move these huge distances to hit these huge icons, and it's just not very optimal. But what eye tracking will do is a couple of things. It will allow you to actually interface directly with a UI, with your eyes, or it could augment the experience that you're having with other things. Like something where I see this being really useful, and he kind of hints at this in the video, but it's not directly said, is if you are touching something and you kind of miss by a bit, but you're looking at this one, but you kind of are on the border between this one and that one, it should be able to, in theory, track your eyes and go, well, no, he probably meant this one. And then another way that they showed, and then another thing would be, well, actually, it would be mostly touch for fine details once this technology gets advanced enough. Instead of clicking on something and having a little whoop magnifying, which one did you mean to, I would love for it to be like, oh, well, he was looking at this word, that's probably the one he meant to click on. So that's extremely exciting. And then one of the other demos that they do later on in the video, And this is more of a gaming relevant one. Where did that demo go?
Are you talking about the StarCraft one?
Yeah,
I think that's in the other video.
Is that in the other video?
I think so.
Oh, that is in the other video. Okay.
Because I liked that one too.
Okay, let's check out the other video. So the other video was a StarCraft video, and I guess that makes sense that's the SteelSeries collaborative one.
Yeah.
So navigating the mini map. Maybe you can explain this one a little bit better.
So it's in the video it's kind of confusing if you can find it, because what it shows in the video is it shows the mini map becoming like full screen temporarily. It's not really how it's going to work, I'm pretty sure. I think he was just trying to show how the mini map moves. So basically what you could do is
Okay, well this part's kind of cool because it talks about just general interaction between the gamer and other characters in the world. Like when you walk into a bar, someone might nod at you when they see you looking at them, for example.
But not before they see you looking at them. So when you walk in, they might say like greetings or something, but then if you're looking around doing whatever, it's okay. And then you look at the bartender finally and he'll like nod at you to be like,
ask you if you want a drink.
Yeah.
Something like
But
that.
then he might delay until you look at him to ask something like that.
And in something like an MMO, that could actually be really cool because you're walking around and someone looks at you and you could kind of be like, you could be aggressive towards them, you could offer to trade with them, but you would know when you have people's attention.
Even just in towns, like a blacksmith could shout out that they're selling swords. I don't
Yes.
know. But
And
only
then,
once you kind of look at them.
and so I think that's incredibly cool. I mean, the ability to tell if you have someone's attention digitally has been a problem that goes back to my earliest encounter with this would be the MSN days.
Yeah.
It's like, are you talking to me and just me right now? Or do you have 18 other chat windows open and are you doing 100 other things? Using eye tracking, you could actually make experiences more engaging, whether it's in gaming or other ways as well.
Not only this message has been read, but this chat box is being looked at.
Yeah, I mean, isn't that cool? All right, so here, let's talk about the mini-map thing. So I'll have this playing while you walk me through it.
So it's a little bit vague, to be completely honest, on how exactly it works, but it allows you to continue doing other. See, like he shows it taking up his whole screen. I don't think that's.
Yeah, but that's just to zoom in. You can see the aliasing.
Yeah, but no, go back a little bit.
Oh, sorry.
So this is
Okay.
army.
Wait for it.
So what we do instead is
me
we
to
use the
pause?
same button.
No, is when we can see his screen
mouse
here.
button here. So
Yeah.
when I hold that down,
Wait, no, like let it go.
Yeah.
it's going to
Boom.
Mmm.
I kind of have a weird feeling and hope that's not really how it works, because that's not going to help you.
No, covering the whole screen with your mini-map is not a good thing.
And he said like it would be bound to a button, so it would only do that when you're looking at the minimap and press the button and stuff. But I still don't like that it takes up your whole screen, because that's not going to help.
I wonder if it could be faster than moving your mouse down and back up. I don't know. Maybe
That's the thing.
marginally, but every APM counts at a professional level, so...
And then taking up your whole screen so you can't see other things is kind of not going to be super good.
But then if you're wanting to move and look at something else anyway, somewhere
yes,
else on the map...
Yes, but part of the problem is going to be that having that much of a change might
be
slow you
visually
down.
distracting.
Yeah.
But then I think that all of this is sort of a moot point when we consider that most RTSs these days are basically in the dark ages when it comes to minimap functionality. I mean, Supreme Commander had this figured out like, what, 5-6 years ago?
And they're not going to...
You could fully zoom in your minimap. You could fully zoom up your main map. You could have it on another monitor and you could put it over there. Why does this not exist? Oh, well, you know, some people might be like better than other people because they have like better stuff. You know what? Athletes with better training equipment are better than athletes that have crappy training equipment and an improper diet. I'm sorry, but that's the way the world works. Anyway, sorry, I got distracted.
So I don't think this would be allowed anyways in competitive play, for one. Because it's a change, now that you brought that up.
Oh no, change! Oh no, things are getting better and we can interact with things better. You know what? Maybe StarCraft 3 will only run at 800 by 600 because anything higher than that would be too much detail.
3?
So I just look somewhere
Yeah.
and then press the hotkey. and it's
We're gonna move backwards in technology as we move forwards in the franchise.
StarCraft 3 announced.
and start implementing
Yes, confirmed.
Confirmed.
Eye tracking basically.
Anyway.
Yeah, so it's interesting. My one thing with it, which is probably why you brought up the Oculus fanboy thing, but I'm not even coming from an Oculus fanboy
When
direction.
are you
from
ever
this.
not coming from an Oculus fanboy perspective?
Rarely. But like games have to be developed with this in mind pretty
Yes.
heavily. Like interaction for everything that they're gonna want is going to have to be made so that it supports this, which is a lot of work. With Oculus, if you develop under the right platform, it's a button press and then hopefully some tuning.
Okay, yes, Oculus is easier, but that doesn't mean that you would have to program an entire game just for eye tracking.
Yeah.
Because if you went and you could maybe even retroactively applied to an existing game, but if you develop the game with the intention of making things interactive, like say for example, if my crosshair was focused on you, you might say hi.
Yeah.
Then all you're doing is changing one parameter so that instead of the crosshair, it's this.
And like I'm hoping a lot of games do develop for it. I'm just saying it might be struggling for the whole extra development side of things.
Yeah.
And it would be cool if people like patch it into their games. I think that would be awesome and people would really appreciate that. Or whatever else. I just think they might have, like you noticed in their video, developers, the old Steve Ballmer thing essentially happened because almost the whole time they were asking for developers. The music was a little bit...
The music was ridiculous.
I was like, are we starting a religion? Like what's going on here?
Speaking of starting a religion, for those of you who haven't seen this iconic video, you must see it. I mean, the guy is just developers.
Yes.
Oh, Stevie B.
Amazing.
I'm gonna miss him. All right.
So yeah, it had a little bit of a developers angle to it. So I hope people do jump on, but I'm just thinking like if you're an indie startup right now, where are you going? Oculus or this?
Okay, guys, Twitter Blitz, I'd love for you guys to let us know what you would like to see out of eye tracking technology from a gaming perspective, maybe as the main focus, but also what would you like to see from just a general computer usage perspective? I mean, do you see the value more in the one video where they're talking about navigating the Windows Modern UI, or do you see the value more in something like gaming? And let's talk just gaming from a chair. So Oculus is okay, because we have some more topics for later on in the show that are going to be about gaming outside of a chair, but let's get to that later. So love to hear from you guys, but first, another topic. So the Samsung Galaxy Camera 2. I am actually very disappointed about this product.
Yeah. I was hoping you might have gotten that from my notes. I'm not sure.
No, I didn't even know you were disappointed. Okay, let's start with why you're disappointed.
Well, it's
not phallic enough for you, I guess.
Wow, luckily most people won't get that word.
Yeah, they will.
Oh, because now they'll look it up. It's not that amazing. It doesn't seem super good. It doesn't seem like that big of an improvement. It seems behind in the terms of smartphones. Also, you can't call people, which is what we were asking for last time they came out with this.
But it has NFC.
Jeez. It's not that fast. It's not that amazing. It's just like, there's too much meh going on in my... But why? No one cares.
No effing cares? NFC has all the NFC. I mean, who knows someone who bought a Galaxy camera? That's something that I can't figure out. Like, when you see these products, and you're just like, okay, I have not yet seen a Galaxy Gear. I've never seen one.
I've seen a few Pebbles. You're not the only person I know that has a Pebble.
Right.
I've also seen them out in the wild, like people I don't know.
Yeah. I've never seen a Gear. So, like, how much money did you lose on this project? And, like, did you get the hint that it wasn't successful? I mean, maybe I'm wrong. Maybe Galaxy Camera is a big hit in, like,
Korea.
Kazakhstan or something.
In Korea, they use a lot more Samsung devices than they use here. I noticed that even just walking around.
But, I don't know. Maybe it is phallic enough. I think the biggest thing that I'm disappointed about here is just the fact that, and you already covered this, you already mentioned this, there's no phone calling. I don't see the value of a dedicated Android camera. I don't see the value of a dedicated camera anymore, especially looking at the direction that companies like Nokia are going in, where they're adding more and more advanced optics to phones. I think that's the convergence.
The camera on this is amazing.
That's the convergence that we're going to see. We're going to see bigger camera bumps on phones that are more optimized for professionals. I mean, this is the conversation we had with the whole modular phone concept. Is, do people care more about the gaming performance of a phone? Do people care more about this? Do people care more about that? But we're already kind of there. The phone makers have the opportunity now to just create individual SKUs rather than modular SKUs that are more optimized for one thing or another. And we've seen that with camera. Samsung had an opportunity here to make a phone that is also a fantastic camera, and it's really not that much more to add to it when you consider that the Galaxy Camera series already has mobile data connectivity.
Yeah, there's a SIM card in it.
There's a SIM card. Put a microphone and a speaker on it, for crying out loud. Give people the choice to say, look, I don't use my phone that much, but I'm a shutterbug.
Yeah.
That would have made this a compelling device.
Because I know a lot of people that would have just bought that because they don't actually care about their phone that much, and they just had it replace their camera.
Absolutely. So there you go. I mean, anyway, general specs, it's got 2 gigs of RAM now instead of 1 gig. It has 1.6 gigahertz quad-core processor. We don't know exactly which one. Runs Android 4.3. It has a 4.8-inch super clear touch HD display, whatever that means, and 8 gigs of storage, 2,000 milliamp hour battery, and an expandable micro SD card slot. I'm just so disappointed.
They changed the lens a little bit.
Okay.
ISO's the same, zoom is the same.
Is the aperture better?
The aperture, I think, is that
F1.4 is aperture.
So
Or 4.1 rather.
4.1, yeah. The old one was 2.8.
Wait, no, that would be worse then.
4.1 is worse than 2.8?
Yes.
Oh.
Lower aperture is more better.
Oh my god,
Yeah.
confusing things. Yeah, f4.1 squiggly line 86.1 millimeter. The other one was f2.8 w squiggly line 5.9t. I know nothing about cameras, so
Yeah,
I'm
we
hoping
know.
he can translate this.
No, well, the problem
I
is
know
that
this
I
one's
don't.
good.
I'm having a hard time interpreting your numbers here. Is the problem?
That's directly taken from their website.
Okay.
Like Samsung's website. I went to Samsung's
Because
website.
unless it has 2 lenses, because this looks like 23 millimeter wide angle.
No, look. Oh, never mind. This is the other side. My bad. So it is better.
Oh, so
It's side versus side. The right side is the
so it
old
has
camera.
dramatically better optics then.
I was reading the wrong way.
Okay, yeah, because you... Okay, so it's a 2.8 aperture lens versus a 4.1. So that is a lot more light transmission. That will be better for both picture taking and video recording.
That's in direct comparison to Galaxy Camera 1.
And another thing I would have liked to see included, if you're going to call this thing a dedicated camera, where's the 4K recording? For the amount that you're charging for this thing, and the fact that you still haven't even managed to put a phone in it, the Galaxy Note 3 does 4K recording. I know it might not be anything super, super special, and it's not as good as a proper 4K camera.
No OIS.
But, I mean, at least it's a feature.
It
Okay.
exists.
Yeah, I think there was a missed opportunity there. That's what
Yeah.
I'm trying to say in this.
It still does. Its maximum video recording is 1080p 30 FPS, just like Galaxy Camera 1.
All right, so here is Twitter Blitz time. I think the eye tracking in games like Battlefield would work to spot the enemy because you looked up at him. So, you know what? That's interesting.
That's really cool.
What if...
Because the spot mechanic, you have to... I literally, if I'm playing Battlefield, I just continuously press Q the entire game.
Pointing at all the things. Anyway. You know what? I actually... Okay, I probably interpreted his message wrong, but I think enough... Oh, crap. I had a completely different direction I was going with that. Oh, yeah. This... Maybe not for the hardcore keyboard mouse PC gamers, but the direction I kind of went with this was, what if you could use eye tracking as sort of a smart auto aim?
Right, yeah.
Like as a way to correct clumsy joystick movements a little bit without just making the game feel completely stupid.
Because you aim here and it hits on his head. Yeah. If you're looking there and it actually moves it there, that could be nice.
Like if auto aim helped you do what you intended to do, I think it would make gaming more accessible.
It would be interesting though, because like if you like look at your friend, it would follow your eyes.
It
and
will
then
have
just like
to...
aim off the screen.
We're talking a few generations before it's actually something usable, but if eye tracking could be used to make games accessible without dumbing them down, I think that's the challenge.
I had this in here. I'm really stoked for this for disabled gamers. That's one of the big reasons why I was really stoked for OCZ Nia as well. And I ended up testing it for
Too
someone
bad
who
that
ended
was
up.
such a pile of poo. But
Well, no, it actually was good enough that it helped someone. I knew a buddy that didn't have a hand. I used to play WoW with him, and it helped him play WoW.
all right.
Because he could control more of the game. And he was someone who was willing to spend the retarded amount of time it took to be able to learn how to use that thing in any way that made any amount of sense. Because it actually added something.
Right.
Yeah, he needed it. It wasn't worth it for me. It was kind of fun, but like, it wasn't worth using.
All right. Someone says, would eye tracking be possible with the Oculus Rift? A future version, perhaps. Certainly not the first one.
It would help because the screens inside would be illuminating your eyes.
Yeah.
But I don't, it'd be kind of difficult.
I think I would prefer eye tracking, but of course, suspicious people are going to say they're getting spied on. The way that eye tracking works is not something that the NSA could probably take advantage
Isn't
of.
it the,
Preston is expressing some doubt as to the viability of it in the long term. Could it be like Wiimote waggling in that it's entertaining for, a few hours? Sorry. Entertaining for a few hours, but not necessarily that great in the long term. Perhaps. Although I think that the way that we envision eye tracking being implemented would be more like a natural tack on to other gameplay experiences as opposed to just being like, here's an eye game. Pop the balloons by looking at things.
Yeah, unless like, I don't know, it has to be implemented really well, and that's the thing with like with
I'm
Windows
gonna play that
8.
game for the rest of the show.
Nice. With Windows 8, I see it like augmenting your use a little bit, and in games I see it augmenting your use unless you are someone who wants to say increase the feature set because you are somehow physically disabled.
Right.
Other than that, I see it just augmenting and helping in little ways, not being a main thing.
Chris's concerns pretty much echo yours about glitchiness, and I think the first couple generations are just going to be stupid and totally useless.
Probably.
So many things are like that. I mean, there was all that excitement about Leap Motion. And like, where's that excitement gone? I don't know how great it is. We're actually going to be getting one. I think they have some kind of a software update coming sometime next year. And we're going to arrange to do our review with the new software update.
Cool.
So from like a fresh perspective review.
Cool. That's cool. But yeah, I think it's going to have to be able to learn that, like, it should not eye track. It should not track your eyes coming
Unless you have a surround screen.
2 people?
Be awesome. Zach figures it would be great for smaller devices like phones. Totally agreed. What if you have to look at your mom who is offering pizza rolls? What if?
This is what I'm talking about, looking at someone off screen.
Yeah. I think it's a good idea, but it could be a nuisance, like ads. Ooh. What if ads could take over your eye tracking hardware on your notebook or your phone or whatever, and like you look at an ad and it's like, yo dog, I heard you like used cars.
Unless you could program into your eye tracking thing to automatically close ads if you look at them. Ad block for eye tracker?
Yeah, but we don't support ad block.
I'm just saying.
We also try not to make ads particularly obnoxious. Like, remember those old, like, emoticon ones? Say something!
God.
How many times have you heard something say something? It's like, you know what? If I wanted to talk to my computer, I would go 10 years in the future when that's actually, voice recognition doesn't sound like, hello, thank you for talking to the computer. I only use this program to insult my sister because it's hilarious.
Hopefully that's fixed 10 years in the future.
Yeah.
Computer voice has been kind of failed.
Well, it's a lot better now than when I was a kid.
Yeah.
Like, back when we were, like, entering, like, text-to-speech on, like, the Commodore.
Yeah.
Like, seriously, it was only useful for, like, trying to make it swear. That was the only thing you could do with it.
In TeamSpeak, not TeamSpeak, in Vent, I used to go IT and then a huge line of T's and Rafflecopter and it would make the person sound like it was a helicopter.
Apparently we're out of focus. Hey, Brandon, do you mind fixing us? I don't think I ever actually set focus. I think I didn't notice that it wasn't quite right.
Nice.
Oh, no, I don't think that's what Alexander even means. I think he means that the show is unfocused and off topic. You know what, Alexander? I don't appreciate your attitude.
Wow.
Would love to see a game where you're presented with an image or video and the story progresses based on where you look. I think that would be so... The the storyline would have to be so branched that it wouldn't be able to be very deep.
It'd be really weird. How do you progress?
That's my issue. Anytime we ask for more branches, we suffer when it comes to depth. I mean, you look at even things like conversation trees in an RPG, for example, it's the same thing. The more options you have, the more moral choices you have, the less far you can go down each of the paths. I mean, I don't mind linear gameplay for that reason.
I think some games do it really well, but yeah.
And now he's like just moving it all over the place willy-nilly. It
already looks better though.
Well, yeah. Now we can see my boobies. Okay, so let's go ahead and move into our next topic here, back to the regular WAN Show thing that we supposedly do. Razer has new headphones coming. This is a news item because they are going to be launching them at CES, presumably. That's what we're guessing. You can pre-order them now, although if it was me, I would probably wait for the reviews to come in. This was posted by Tomp Pix on the forum, and Tomp is apparently so excited that this font was necessary.
It's probably the most, like, this looks like it was sponsored post I think I've ever seen.
You know what's funny is what I was going to say about it is that it looks really well done. Like, look at this. Like, Tom went and, like, put the little product features.
It's really well done, it is.
In nice little thing.
And then he has the proper photos in the right spots and blah, blah, blah. It's like, it's one of the nicest tech news posts I've ever seen.
All right, so they have 4 different pairs of headphones or headsets coming. I guess they're all headphones. These are more like consumer audio oriented as opposed to being purely gamer oriented, which normally I would have said is probably a positive indicator. Because generally speaking, a more audio-oriented product is not going to be like Kraken Forged, for example, is a product that I would love to love because the idea of it is so beautiful. Like, I would love to wear them and just look that cool all the time. But the bass is very loose and uncontrolled and very overwhelming to the point where I don't enjoy them. So I hope that with the more audio-centric products, they're heading in that direction. But unfortunately, the way that they're describing these is a little bit scary sounding. So, which one was it? That says crisp, natural, something. Where was it? I think it was the earphones? Sleek, whatever, etc.
What are you looking for?
I'm looking for Control F bass. There we go. So about the analog headphones, the DJ ones, natural sounding acoustics, and heavy bass.
Scary.
It's heavy bass scares me, but if they do it well... Oh, okay, hold on, here we go. The new audio, this is from the press release, I think. The new audio lineup will initially feature 4 models: bass-heavy earphones, analog stereo headphones, Bluetooth headphones, and DJ-style headphones, and then the DJ-style headphones ones say that they have heavy bass right in the description. So I'm going to reserve judgment until I can actually try them. In terms of looks, though, they're beautiful.
They look great, and I have to, again, bring up with Tom Pix. One thing I noticed is a lot of times I go to Tech News, I love going there because everything I need is there.
Aluminum.
But I always have to go to the source to find everything. And this, I actually did not have to go to the source to find everything, which was kind of cool.
These look quite nice.
You just put everything in there. It all looks really good, to be honest.
And if the build quality of them is anything like the Kraken Forged, man, I mean, are those the finest feeling headphones that you've ever held?
The only thing I didn't like was the thing I told you about.
Which one was that?
If I moved and looked around, I could feel them shift.
But that's a weight issue.
That's a weight issue, and like I could maybe see them fixing it with a type of headband, or something. But like that was not a big deal. It's not like they slid off my head. I could just feel the weight shifting around.
But the aluminum construction did make them particularly heavy, so I definitely noticed it. But
it's not a big deal. It's just the only thing.
Man, they're gorgeous. I just wish they sounded more appealing to me.
Yeah.
All right, so let's move on to, you know what, we should probably do our sponsor spot. We actually have quite a few sponsor messages these days. Hopefully you guys will bear with me here. So Intel's Rome 2, Total War Rome 2. Rome Total War 2, Rome 2, Total War, Rome 2. We could turn this into a song. Rome 2, Total War. Anyway, if you buy a 4670K or a 4770K, you get a free copy of Rome 2 Total... Oh my... That game This one right here. You get a free copy of that with your purchase, and the promotion is only while supplies last from qualifying retailers, so you can check out the link in the description on the archive, or if you head over to Linus Tech Tips forums, in the Linus videos and ramblings or whatever section, there's a sticky there. It's definitely still available at NCIX for a while. I called them and verified. They still have tons of coupons. So there you go, guys. If you or anyone you know is getting that CPU, it might not be the best regarded game at the moment. They are still working on patches. They are still improving things, but free is free. So there you go. If you were going to buy a system anyway, you're probably going to buy one of those CPUs anyway, so you might as well get a game with it.
And you can just wait for even more patches and just hope it doesn't get removed from the Steam store.
Indeed. Okay, well, we'll talk about that later. But that's not an issue from Creative Assembly. That's a whole other thing. Our next sponsor is Hotspot Shield. Hotspot Shield is the quick, easy, and inexpensive way to get set up with a VPN solution. So Hotspot Shield is a proud sponsor of the WAN Show and happens to be a product that I have needed to use a number of times personally. So you can do things like buy stuff from retailers that just redirect you to a completely different page if you don't happen to be located in the US. You can do things like access US Netflix, and you can protect your privacy to a certain extent online. I'm not saying that a VPN is the be-all and end-all solution of, go and search for how to make bombs and expect the police to not show up at your house. Like, don't do that. Don't make bombs. I mean, these are things that I shouldn't have to tell you on the show. You should watch a different show. I don't even want to talk about bombs on this show. We're not having bombs in the keywords.
Hashtag make bombs.
Hashtag make bombs. No. Please don't tweet that at me. Hashtags make bombs. Hashtag killed my wife. Why do we start these things? Anyway, Hotspot Shield has some additional functionality on your mobile devices, so it actually works on multiple devices, and on iOS devices it allows you to use less of your mobile data when you're on the go by compressing the data on the fly as it goes through their server. So there you go, guys. I don't necessarily recommend the free service because it's ad supported and the ads are a little bit on the in-your-face side for me, but the Elite version is inexpensive and it does have a 1-week trial, so you can try that out and see how much you like it. Our last sponsor message is, of course, related to CES. CES is going to be a thing. We're going to be there very soon. Our sponsors are NCIX. They're our gold sponsor, as well as Corsair and Western Digital. And we are actually going to be attending the WD Fan Appreciation Night. So you guys can still sign up for that. It's at wdpromotion.com/WDFanNight. If you're going to be in Vegas on Tuesday, January the 7th from 7 p.m. to 9 m. I'm pretty sure they mean 9 p.m., but that's okay. And there will be food, drinks, live music, and of course, giveaways. So sign up, guys, and anyone who says they're with me will be getting in. So I look forward to hopefully seeing you there.
We're all going to that, I think, right?
Yeah, we're all going to that.
For the whole duration?
I think we're going to be there the whole time. I might be a little bit late, but I'm going to try not to be. I mean, they are one of our show sponsors, and I did say that we would all be there. So if we're not there, then we suck.
If I remember correctly, Brandon and I will probably be like cutting it fairly close, but
That's fine.
We should be able to make it.
That's fine. If you're a little bit late, I think as long as I'm there, I'm the important one anyway, so.
Alright, we just won't go then. We'll
No,
party.
please go! I need your support!
Screw you guys.
Are you gonna go home? Which happens to also be work. Way to go, Cartman. Alright, guys, next article is posted on the forum by Top War Gamer, and this one, I'm not sure how much credibility there is to it, and the original article's from NintendoEnthusiast.com, but Wii U allegedly outsold the Xbox One globally last week. I'll let you handle this one.
They're linking to Nintendo Enthusiast.
Linking?
No, oh wow.
Did they smash the previous sales records? Did they make so much coin? Would you have to be on mushrooms to think that it could go any better than this?
Keep going.
That's all I had.
Oh, I liked it so far.
Yeah. I know.
So it was that Nintendo Enthusiast linking to VG charts.
Okay.
But then VG charts itself is kind of like, meh. don't know. So even if it's not entirely true, we do know that Wii U sold really, really well.
We do know it's doing better.
Yeah, we know it's doing a lot better recently. We also know the 3DS is doing a lot better recently, although 3DS sales, I believe, are also including other variations of the same generation, meaning 2DS and like 3DS XL. So
Okay.
2DS is probably a really large part of that in units terms, but it doesn't cost as much as 3DS, and all that kind of stuff is in there as well. Also, other interesting things is they're saying like Xbox 360 and PS3 also outsold Xbox One.
And also outsold Wii U, for that matter.
Yeah. So there's like other interesting things here, and we're not sure how exactly accurate it is. One funny thing is it breaks it down to certain regions if you go to the actual website.
Yeah.
And Japan sold 40 original DSs. 40. It's like, what?
Where do they even find them?
I don't know.
And why do people even want them? I'm pretty sure those 40 are probably the only 40 left in existence that don't have broken shoulder buttons. So.
I saw people commenting that it was possibly like accidental sales. Mom's trying to buy like 2DSs and walk out of the store with an original one.
The sales guy's like, sure.
Yep, got one of those.
Here you go, ma'am.
Please leave quickly, don't come back.
Do you want a gift receipt with the... Oh, sorry, we don't do gift receipts because it's, Leprechaun Day. And you can never trust those leprechauns.
It's against my religion.
They return everything.
But there's pretty good reasons for it, in my opinion.
You got one.
I'm getting one.
Well, you're getting one.
It's on the
Actually, it's kind of his Christmas bonus.
Yep.
So, yeah, I mean, this is weird. You tell people it's like, okay, instead of cash bonuses, I was like, I want people to look around at the things in their lives and think of me. Rather than just like some cash that they're going to put as a payment on their car and is going to be boring. I want people to do things fun. So this year, Christmas bonuses at Linus Media Group were not allowed to be cash. I was like, look, you've got a budget. You have to spend it, or I'm just not going to give it to you. And you have to buy stuff that's cool. So Edsel picked himself up one of those awesome Wacom tablets that has the digitizer and is a full Windows 8 tablet. So that's pretty cool. It's like $1,000 tablet. So I was like, oh, yeah, okay, I guess. I guess I kind of underpaid you this year, so fine, whatever. And then this guy ended up with, what did you get?
Well, I got a Wii U.
And
a KitchenAid mixer.
It's like, really, that's the... But every time he drinks a smoothie, it'll be like...
Well, you can use it
Linus.
for other stuff.
Linus got me this smoothie. Which is good and creepy. So, why Wii U, though?
Well, okay, I'm thinking if I'm going to play games by myself, I'm going to play PC games. That's how that's going to happen. If I'm going to play games when people come over and hang out at my house, it's off, like, we have LAN parties. My group of friends have LAN parties. But sometimes people don't have the time or want to drag their computers over, and we'll do other stuff. And we started doing
Mine's too
tabletop.
heavy. Not that I've ever been invited to one of your LAN parties.
You actually have
Jackass.
been many times. You've never come because you're a jerk. And so, like, my brother has a giant computer, which is really frustrating to move because it's in a Cosmos 2 and it's water cooled and it weighs a ton and stuff like that. So it's great when we're all separate. When we all come together, we started playing tabletop games and mixing it up a little bit. So I was thinking, Wii U. Makes sense.
Woo!
Because like a lot of the even Mario platformers, work with multiple people now.
Right.
And I think with a Wii U, on some games you can get up to 6 people. Because 4 Wiimotes and then 2 gamepads.
Twitch chat hates you. They're saying you're a peasant now. Dirty console peasant. Yeah, that's okay. Oh, by the way, for those of you who are questioning Edsel's wisdom picking up the Wacom tablet, and I don't know why people buy tablets, I'm not talking about a tablet. I'm talking about like a tablet. That kind of tablet. So, I mean, he's an artist. Hello. So having a tablet where you can actually draw directly on the screen and have a tablet that you can like watch movies on the bus. He commutes by bus. That is a totally sensible purchase, and I think someone's like hashtag Linus is not funny. Hashtag Linus is not funny is better than hashtag whatever the... No, I don't want to talk about the other things anymore.
Also, another thing is I foresee Xbox One and PS4 emulators coming soon, so I can play those exclusives on PC if I'm not gonna, nope, totally not gonna happen. And Wii U ones I don't really see coming.
Yeah, it looks like that's been more difficult. It's hard to say up till this point whether it hasn't happened because people don't care or whether it hasn't happened because it's hard.
Yeah, no, that's true. There is more complications than there would be for PS4 and Xbox One.
It's baffling to me. Sorry, I'm changing gears a little bit
No
here.
problem.
You can finish that thought.
It's more complicated because of different hardware things that are inside of a Wii U compared to just x86, which is on the other platform.
I mean, was Nintendo playing a poker game here? It's like, yeah, we're gonna do like a hardware launch, and we're just gonna like not have Mario and Zelda games.
Yeah, because they're like up on the horizon is Mario Kart 8 for Wii U. Why wasn't that out yet? Super Smash Bros. Wii U. What? Are you kidding me? That actually wasn't out yet. And then like another Donkey Kong game, but I think
Yeah,
there's
and then we
another one.
just got Super Mario 3D World Land Country, whatever it's called, which is apparently awesome, and I'm super stoked. You're gonna let me play that on
Yep,
the Wii, right?
yep, and that's
Awesome.
coming with it because that's a really highly rated game that I'm stoked for.
So
But yeah, like there's stuff on the horizon that's like this wasn't a launch game. Like Mario Kart didn't come out almost immediately afterwards.
yeah,
What?
so that's baffling. But at any rate, Wii U might actually be a thing soon. So exciting. Speaking of exciting things, T-Mobile just seems determined to turn the entire wireless industry on its ear, and I love it. This is
too.
great because what happens in America eventually reaches their culturally handicapped cousin in the north.
It seems to be taking a long time. I'm actually not super sure on the mobile side if that's happening here.
It will have to eventually. Eventually, you can't lag behind every other country if you're gonna want to be considered a developed country.
But we
Like,
seem to be able to do that with phones.
yeah, it's not as bad as it used to be.
That's true.
As someone who's had a cell phone since like the first cell phone with a keyboard came out, it's not as bad as it used to be, not by
Okay,
a long
yeah.
shot. So at any rate, this was posted on like Twitter or something, I think. I don't remember where he posted it, but it was 2013 New Year's resolutions, shake up the wireless industry. So I don't know if you guys remember, but personally for me, the big one, other than ending 2-year contracts, was making making international roaming inexpensive. What a huge deal. What a way to capture the people who can afford the baller phone plans, because those are the people who are typically going to be traveling. How amazing is that? And of course, there's 4G LTE and all that. For 2014, make waves at CES is one of the resolutions. Give AT&T a break or not is one of the other ones, and unshackle the family from those other guys. So there's a lot of speculation right now that what is going to be announced is helping people buy out their contracts.
Yeah, and like special plans for families because he specifically calls out families. They're literally gonna buy customers. That's awesome.
I love it. I don't mind giving a whack ton of money to an internet service provider or a phone provider if I can tell that they invested in me.
And I'm like, yeah, this service is awesome.
Yeah. I mean, our new fiber plan here, where we're not dropping any frames anymore. Aside from Twitch's problems, our upstream is completely lag free, and the quality is much better than before. Okay, I feel okay about paying a bunch of money for that. But what I feel really okay about is the fact that TELUS on a few separate days sent a few separate people to run fiber underground down the street for us, link it up to our house for us, and I know what I paid for. So for the first year of my service, or whatever it is, I paid for them to invest in me as a customer, as opposed to paying for them to kind of, we've got like 12 people on this 10-person sort of spot now. We can probably squeeze a 13th one in if like we lower our global data caps a fair bit and reconfigure. No, I don't feel good about that, but I feel good when you're investing in me. So there.
I really wish, like, my contract is coming up with TELUS, and I've been looking around at other options, and like there's some that might be better, but none of them are like, we are the glorious awesome side, come join us. Like, there isn't a T-Mobile in Canada. There's like the ever so slightly lesser evil but still evil ones.
Yeah, I know. I mean, I'm okay with Bell. I think I called them buttheads once on the live stream, and they actually were really good. They were really good for a little
Because
while.
they got massively flamed for it and wanted that to stop.
Well, okay. But without calling them buttheads at other times since then, they've also dealt with stuff. And in their defense, that time it was something particularly complicated.
And in this time, it's because you have a specific guy you're dealing with every single time, which is the same as you dealt with
No.
the first time.
No. I've had to do stuff through regular customer service since then as well.
Your
So
account also might be flagged.
so I don't like I'm just saying I don't hate them, but I'm not in love with them or anything like that.
I just don't know if some of that is special consideration.
Hard to say.
Yeah, I don't know, but yeah.
Okay. Do we want to get into a Linus rant? Are you guys ready to prepare yourselves?
We could have a funny one before we do that, or we could cool down with the funny one. This is the funny one.
All right, let's do the rant.
All right.
All right. Okay. I love Linus Tech Tips Forum, but I feel like we've gotten away from our core values a little bit, particularly in some of the sub-forums. And I'm not going to call out any particular names in this case, but the audio sub-forum I've been finding a little bit unfriendly to people. So this particular thread was someone who posted saying, hey, I just got a sound card and I really like it. I'm really happy with it. My sound is better and louder. And there's about 5 or 6 pages of people crapping on the guy because he didn't have the almighty, forethought to research the specific places on the internet where the wisdom exists that something like a FiO E10 might have been a better option. So an external amp and DAC. And I didn't really find that acceptable because of a couple of things. Number one is that as much as people might be right, and something like an Objective 2 or a FiO E10 might be a better option than pretty much any sound card in some cases, nobody even went to the trouble to ask a probing question. And this is where I feel like a lot of audiophile people would do well to consider the old saying, you'll catch more flies with honey than with vinegar. Rather than being rude and abrasive to people who are excited about the same thing that you're excited about, and rather than being helpful to them and really being welcoming to them, making fun of them is just going to perpetuate the myths and the misconceptions that you claim to be trying to help them with. So I'm gonna let that sink in for a minute. So the thing that bothered me is that after 5 pages of people telling him that his onboard sound was fine and that the solution he had used was terrible and that these were all the better solutions and he was basically an idiot for not realizing it and that any perception that it sounded better was a placebo effect, nobody actually recommended a comparable product to the sound card that the OP had purchased. It was a Zonar DG, which is a $30 sound card. Remember, guys, $30 for an amp and a DAC and an upgraded microphone input. The problem people have with onboard sound is not always pure sound quality. Sometimes it's sound volume if they're using headphones that are more difficult to drive. Sometimes it's their mic input that is a big steamy pile of garbage. Sometimes it's a driver issue, and the external solution might be better to resolve a driver issue because most of them are completely driverless, or it might not be because the driver issue might also be related to the mic in, and most external sound cards only have a headphone out. Also, nobody asked him what onboard sound he was using. What we all kind of agree on, what the audiophile elite seem to agree on, is that any sound card built into a motherboard for the last sort of few years at least is pretty darn good. No one even asked the guy if he was running a 5-year-old board. And I had someone post that if they're running, I forget what it was, 5-year-old hardware, then they should basically buy a new rig anyway. We're talking about a $30 sound card, not a new rig. And we're talking about a 7-year-old rig could potentially still have a Q6600 in it, which is perfectly fine for watching YouTube videos and playing indie games and even some AAA titles still. So the elitism and this assumption that a sound card is an invalid choice is not true. Whatever videos might be being released on Tech Syndicate's channel that are elevating products like the Objective 2 or the FiO E10 or these external products to this deity-like status, are they better? Yeah, actually. I personally prefer them. I can subjectively tell that something like an Objective 2 amp has less of an audible noise floor than something like a sound card. I can tell. I can't tell on all my headphones, and it's not something that I would notice necessarily day to day, but I can tell. So are they better? Yes. But are they necessarily comparable? I mean, an E10 alone costs about $70 versus the $30 the OP spent, and an Objective 2 amp alone is, I think, over $150 or somewhere in that range. It's over $100 anyway, and the amp and DAC combo is over $200. It's around $250. So there you go, guys. I've been asked to weigh in on the whole sound cards versus external amps and DACs thing for a while. Consider that my weigh-in. Are they better? Sure. Are they always the obvious and only choice? No. That's all.
There's even some people like, I don't want one because I don't want another external device at my computer. I like the fact that my sound card is in my computer. Now, there's someone that I've been interfacing with on the forum. We've been talking about how we could maybe possibly mount a DAC really far away from everything else in our computer and then route cables and all this kind of stuff so that you could actually have one inside your computer. But there's also that, which people seem to completely ignore, which is like, oh yeah, any setup ever can just have this external DAC. Don't worry about it. It's like, no. Sometimes you want something inside your computer.
Yep.
I don't know. There's quite a few reasons. But yeah.
So anyway,
Are we move on time now? Can we do the
you can
fight?
talk about something else. I'm still cooling down. Anyway, okay, no, I have one more thing to say. Just basically, guys, look, the LinusTechTips.com community was built on being friendly and welcoming to people. That's how we've grown so fast. That's how we've got almost 50,000 members in the first year of existence. We will not keep that up if we're unfriendly to people. It's fine to tell someone that something is a better option, but if they already bought it, think about what you're saying. Why would you just crap on them for something that they already bought? You can ask a gently probing question like, hey, are you still within your return window? Here's another option you may have considered. But the cold hard fact of the matter is that in that particular thread anyway, the OP wanted the sound to be louder. They bought a sound card with an amp. Mission accomplished. Is it as perfect as some other solution might have been? Maybe not. But that doesn't mean you need to be a jerk about it. There.
It's also an international forum. Do O2s get shipped everywhere?
I'm not sure. I know that there are builders in Europe, if nothing else.
Okay.
Because it's just an open design. So
Yeah.
there's lots of guys that do it.
Yeah. Are you good?
No, I'm done now.
You're done now?
I'm just
Okay.
gonna have some water.
Okay. I don't know how we're gonna look at this one because I think he's done. But if you want to go to the
Here.
massive iPod one, it's just the one right below. We first have to ignore the picture that's on the thread because, as you can probably tell upon immediately seeing it, that's totally not what it's gonna look like. But anyways, it's a 12 point. It's a massive iPod, and people are iPad. Sorry, and people are speculating what it would be
You
used
could
for.
argue an iPad is a massive iPod.
Yeah. It is it not?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I'm just saying you corrected yourself, but you weren't quite wrong.
Not entirely, I guess. So it's huge, and part of the problem is that I can't see anyone holding it to use it. Like,
What,
because
remember,
it's
12.9 inches?
12.9 inches, I believe.
So that's not that much smaller than this. Or wait, hold on. I mean, it's not even that big. This is 12. So just hold that for context for the people.
It's still weird. Like, I don't, like, this is still really weird to hold.
Okay.
No, that's going to be heavier than the iPad would be. And people are speculating about possibly bigger ones too, because it's supposed to be, and the problem with this is, I think that a name may have leaked, and then everything else was created around it. Which is part of a problem. So I walked by a Mac store the other day.
How was that for you?
It was actually kind of weird.
Did the light from the inside of the store burn your skin?
It's so bright. Have you noticed that? And everything's white. I'm just like, oh my god. Anyways, the iMacs are super, super thin.
Mm-hmm.
So if anything, I kind of thought that maybe they're coming out with another iMac style product that's running iOS. Like maybe it has a stand. Or maybe it has a stand and you can take it off the stand.
Is that legitimately interesting to you?
No,
You've never really used iOS extensively, have you?
not extensively. I have used it though.
It's not a bad experience.
I don't like the store. And I don't like the lack of some options. But like once you're kind of done setting everything up and you're done downloading all your apps and you're done doing all that kind of stuff, because I don't like the store at all, it's fine. And once you're in an app, it's the same.
What's not to like about the store? It works basically the same way. In fact, I would say if I was going to...
I don't like the login protection stuff. It seems like a waste of time.
Oh, I think you can disable it now.
Now?
Yeah.
Okay. That wasn't a thing before when I used it, but it's been a while. I don't know. I've never done like I'm going to switch to iOS for a while. I've just been like, oh, I'm trying to use your device. Oh, I'm trying to download. Oh.
You know what we should do? You know how we've done
Nope.
I switched... Hold on.
Nope.
Just
Nope. Nope.
You know how we've done I switched in the past? You and I should both switch to OS 10 at the same time
OS 10?
for a month.
Ah!
Just on our work computers.
That's going to make it worse. Actually, no, it won't.
Yeah.
Because it runs Excel. That's all I do on that computer.
You don't have to use it all
You know what
the
I'm
time.
going to do? I'm gonna turn it on. I'm going to open Excel, and then I'm going to do everything else off of it. And
Okay,
I'll just
but that's-
type into Excel.
That
That's
is
it.
that is not the spirit of the experiment that we would be trying
I've
to...
probably used iOS more than, or OS X more than you have.
Oh,
'Cause I used to
definitely.
work in
I've-
repair shops.
hardly used it at all.
I've worked in repair shops.
Like every time, it's funny. Cameraman, the old like cameraman back at NCIX used to be. He would just be in stitches every time he watched me try to use a Mac, because I'd like sit down in front of his computer and like without realizing it, exposés all over the screen. I'm like, whoa! How do I get to the window I'm trying to see? And then there was a grand opening of like an Apple Store type thing that had some iMacs, and I like sat down in front of it and I was like trying to launch a program and I couldn't figure out how to find. I was like, honestly, I would have settled for any program. Couldn't launch a program.
it's weird. The problem for me is it's supposed to be super intuitive, but because of everything else I've used, it's totally not, and I have no idea what's going on.
Speaking of intuitive, I played around with SteamOS finally today. It doesn't do much, but it works, sort of. The Xbox 360 wireless controller was easier to get running than on Windows.
Were you using that box?
The Raven one?
Yeah.
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 I took it to NCIX today. We
Cool.
still filmed an episode with it. But, like, the wireless controller just worked.
Honestly, drivers for Linux haven't usually been that big of a problem.
Unbelievable.
Lately, not
Yeah, well,
before.
we're not talking about 5 years ago.
But like even like I was talking to you the other day, every time I've installed Linux on something that had wireless or LAN, they both have worked immediately.
It's remarkable how many network cards don't automatically install. Intel network cards that don't automatically install on Windows 7 and Windows 8.
Yeah.
Anyway,
and that's the biggest thing is as long as you get network working and like an input device, I can go manually do the rest of it. I don't care.
I'm kind of stoked on SteamOS. I think what I'm going to do, because I have a media center PC, once they get things like Netflix streaming and a proper desktop experience that kind
The
of
browser
works.
works.
Yeah, browser-based, but I want an app. Like, if
Yeah.
I'm going to use something, I would want to be able to control it completely with
Okay.
either Valve's controller or an Xbox 360 controller. And you know what? This is gonna sound super ignorant, but I just about like lost it when I saw that Mozilla's browser on Linux is called Iceweasel. I was like, what is that? A knockoff? No, it's
That's
made by
not-
Mozilla.
Is it? I've used Firefox on Linux before.
Yeah, you've never heard of Iceweasel?
Iceweasel versus Firefox.
Yeah, I was like, what? Because I was like, you look at the logo for it. Here, I'll pull up the logo for... Okay, so for those of you who are like me and have never heard of Iceweasel, I'll pull up the logo here. But it's like hilarious. Geticeweasel.org, so it's like exactly as... And it's like a weasel wrapped around an iceberg.
Rebranded by
instead
the
of...
Debian project.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah, no, there's tons of different browsers that are based off of...
Yeah.
Yeah,
no, I know.
lots of them.
I'd never heard of this one.
Oh, okay.
I was like, oh, that's hilarious. It's...
Yeah, no, I'd never heard of it being a part of the Mozilla project. I knew there was... I've heard of it in general. I've also heard of WaterFox. WaterFox is I don't know if it still is, but this was it when I used to use it. It was a further back version of Firefox, which is super performance optimized.
Ah,
And
okay.
they would take Firefox versions, performance optimize them, and then release them under WaterFox. I don't know if that's what they're still doing. I haven't used it for a long time because I've been running Nightly forever. But yeah, there's a lot of different versions because it's open, so
Yep.
I'm not super surprised.
And given how unstable the official one's been lately, I'm kind of tempted to try. Maybe I should switch to Iceweasel.
Well, Iceweasel is Debian, so I don't know. Does it work on
Maybe I'll
Windows?
just switch to Debian. I don't game much anymore anyway. You know what? I tell you what, guys, I will commit this now. The reason that I haven't switched over to Linux, just even to do a 30-day I switched, is because I can't afford the productivity hit. Once I have SteamOS streaming working.
Oh, because you're not used to it.
Yeah, because I'm not used to it.
Yeah.
I have too much work to do.
I was like, what?
No. Once game streaming works, and the other thing is, when I do want to play a game, I don't want to mess around with which one's compatible with Linux and waste my time on that. So when game streaming is working in SteamOS, I will do a 30-day Linux I switched. I will put my Windows gaming box in my server room, and I will only stream from it. So there you go,
I will
guys.
do that with you if you want, although it might be boring.
Yeah, I think yours will be very uninteresting. The entire series of videos will be me being like, whoa, this! And you being like, yeah, we've had that for like 10 years.
Oh my god, you can make a cube desktop!
I've seen that, actually. I am aware of that. And you can get that for Windows as well.
Yeah.
Smarty pants.
Yeah, I know.
All right. So this is posted on the forum by Top Wargamer, along with a comment by Top Wargamer that probably isn't a thing. But so this was posted by okay, so we're posting from Techno Buffalo, and then they're reposting from bollocks.
Pretty sure it's in their micro-axis?
Micro-axis or something like that. Anyway,
macro-axis.
the point is, these numbers suggest that Sony's possibility of bankruptcy is 78.49% in the next 2 years, which I find both plausible and very, very difficult to believe. Because you look at Sony's business practices over the last 10 years, they are one of the least consumer-friendly companies in existence.
They're like trying to see in how many places they can stab themselves.
Yes.
Except for PlayStation.
Except for PlayStation. Well, even PlayStation, like they are not necessarily, they're not pushing the industry forward.
No.
PS4 was maintaining the status quo. The only reason they got so much applause for it was that Microsoft was busy firing off like shotgun rounds into their own feet at the same time. Like that is the
It'd be really interesting to see a battle between these two.
I mean, PlayStation 4, some of the things that were supposed to be forward-thinking about PS4 aren't even implemented out of the gate. Like no DRM on the HDMI output. Why is HDCP still there for gameplay? Sony's like, yeah, we support Twitch live streaming, but you can't archive the footage, so just live streaming. Yeah. Yeah, look at us, we're Sony. We're cool now, right? Yeah. Pop the collar. It's like they think popping your collar is still cool. That's Sony. I mean, the kind of crap they pull, whether it's on the consumer grade products or on the professional grade products like the ones that we use, they put consumers in a frame of mind where it's like, I might have to buy this right now, but as soon as I have another option, I will never buy any of your stuff. I was 2 months out of warranty on a button, okay? On a button on a hand grip for an $8,000 camera, and they refused to deal with it. That was when I was in the service shop paying $400 for a firmware upgrade. This is the kind of crap that people don't want to deal with. So when that open source camera thing that Brandon's all excited about rolls around, or, I mean, even guys like Blackmagic, allowing you to do things like use any SSD you want as media for the camera. As newer, innovative companies that have a more forward-thinking way of doing business come around, I do see Sony going out of business.
But that brings in the Google argument that we talked about. They rode in on the shoulders of being open, and now they're closing everything down.
What, Sony?
Google.
Oh, okay, yeah, because Sony was never open.
No.
Oh, so you think that someone like Blackmagic might gain popularity by being cheap and accessible?
Cheap, accessible, open, all that kind of stuff. They're so welcoming to
But
new
it's always
consumers.
cyclical.
Yeah, no, I know. But
I mean,
like,
you know, it's always cyclical. And I mean, Sony still has time to stop being buttholes.
yeah, that was my thing. Is like, if they don't react at all, that would be the weirdest thing ever.
Either way, they own enough patents and they have enough assets that I really don't see them.
Like if they sit on patents, liquidate a few things, and just kind of like chill and just try to develop things that are making money, then they'll probably be fine.
So there was some interesting discussion in the thread that I thought was really actually kind of informative. So people were discussing some of the buildings Sony's had to sell over the last couple of years, and the fact that they are in quite dire straits, the fact that they are losing money on each PS4 on what I personally believe is a completely dead business model, the traditional console. So, well, I guess we'll see. Maybe it's as...
I don't think they're going to go bankrupt.
No, I don't think
But I
they're gonna
think
go
crazy
bankrupt.
things might happen.
I think crazy things could happen. All right, I'm going to let you handle this one entirely because you are pretty stoked on this topic.
I'm actually
right
super
here.
stoked. So it's short to actually put the premise out there. What it is they're adapting USB so it can do 20 volts, 5 amps, which is essentially 100 watts. And it's bidirectional power and can still transfer data, and the power can be renegotiated as needed. Now, the bidirectional power thing, basically, you could power your laptop, you could power your monitors. Those are two very common things that you could power with this because they're within that wattage range. Now with bidirectional power, you could use a USB battery pack to power your laptop, or you could use your laptop to power a USB battery pack, which is actually really cool. So if your laptop's full battery and you're plugged into a wall, say, and you don't need more power, you can plug in a USB battery pack and shove it towards the USB battery pack. If your laptop's dying and you have a USB battery pack in your bag, you can plug in a USB battery pack and shove the power towards your laptop and power it back up, or just keep it running.
Or like even something like a phone. It's like, I'm desperate, I need to get that document off my laptop. Oh, yeah. Yes. Success.
It's actually just like anything. You can just be like, nope, sap the power, put it here.
And I'm really excited about the new kinds of peripherals that this will enable. So things like being able to run a full performance monitor off of a USB port is like pretty cool.
And then if that monitor has a USB hub, you could also run a keyboard and mouse, full power and flash drives and everything, because that's a worry, is if a keyboard doesn't have two cables coming from it, you often don't use the USB hub that's built into it.
Yes.
Because your flash drive is going to run super slow, or your mouse won't really work super great or whatever. So if you can do one nice cable that runs all the power you could need, that would be sweet.
Yeah, I'm pretty excited. I think that this does a couple of things. So one is it improves the flexibility of the user experience, and number two is it positions USB 3 as a legitimate alternative to Thunderbolt. I mean, Thunderbolt's already seen a bump to 20 gigabit, but USB 3 is going to be coming at 10 gigabit. And when you consider that it can carry this massive amount of power as well, being able to use USB 3, I mean, USB 3 10 gigabit is going to be lots of data for your monitor, for your keyboard, mouse, card reader, and all that stuff, to the point where you could have a dock that's just USB 3 and no extra power even if you use low power peripherals, and the whole thing just works. So
It's pretty sweet.
That's
and
pretty
it's
sweet.
renegotiable, which it is able to be renegotiated. Now, I wasn't entirely sure if that was like you use some type of UI or something to tell it what way you want the power to go.
It would be automatic.
How exactly that works. Yeah, but it just says, I'm guessing maybe like this device is lower in power and this one has a ton. Let's go that way. I don't know exactly what it's saying there, but I believe you can use less or more. So if you have a device that doesn't have battery in it but needs to draw power, say a monitor, it doesn't have to take 100 watts. You could take the like 25 point whatever that it's probably going to be, which is pretty cool.
All right, so this is a pretty short one, but as someone who is playing through Wolf Among Us and will be starting Walking Dead Season 2 very soon, I'm pretty stoked on this. Telltale spills details on Game of Thrones, as well as Tales from the Borderlands, which I am significantly less excited about.
I think everyone's like, yeah, Game of Thrones, and more stuff.
Yeah, that other thing. How was story a strong point for Borderlands? I mean, maybe Telltale can turn it into something interesting, but really? Borderlands? Story? I didn't play Borderlands 2, but I did play Borderlands 1, and I think Yahtzee probably put it best, and the entire plot of Borderlands seems to be go shoot Jason Voorhees in a scrapyard. I mean, that sometimes you're stealing something, sometimes you're avenging someone, sometimes you're stealing something and avenging someone, but that's the entire game. And so, yeah, I don't know. Anyway.
I love how they came
Game
up
of
with
Thrones.
the story for Borderlands 2 as well. It's like, there was vault hunters, and they got a vault, and then they opened the vault. What are we going to do? Another vault.
New vault. It's like, we need more vaults. All the vaults. No.
Even, like, I didn't mind the storyline. It was nice and funny, and I liked the characters and stuff like that. It was just like, that's not the reason why I think too many people bought it.
All right, this is like the most predictable news of the year. AMD announces Mantle. Mantle in itself isn't necessarily delayed, but the Battlefield 4 patch supporting Mantle has been delayed. It was supposed to come out in December, but I think it was like around Christmas time, and I was like looking at my watch, and I was like, so the devs are probably at home with their families, and we don't have a patch yet.
And there's probably like time after Christmas where they're still going to be. with their
Everyone's going to be
families.
hungover on the 1st, and everyone's going to leave early on the 31st. So, like, realistically... And then, like, 2 days later, I got the email. It was like, yep, we're not going to make it. So they're saying January sometime now. I don't think we have a clear indication as to why it was delayed or exactly when it's coming, but I think the general consensus on the internet is that it's because Battlefield 4 is such a broken mess in other ways that adding a new API to it is a low priority.
I hope that's the reason.
I hope that's the reason. I hope that it's not difficulty implementing Mantle, because I'm pretty excited to test Mantle. Actually, like really excited to test Mantle.
Yeah, exactly. And I hope there's no real bugs with Mantle. What I'm hoping is that it's going to be this huge thing, and EA is going to try to use it as a huge purchasing blitz so that people will buy the game, which I'm going to be okay with because hopefully they fix everything when they do that.
So if they bug fix it and hit it with Mantle at the same time, and then do a campaign around that.
They can be like, BF4 revitalized. Come buy the game.
Now $22.99.
Or lower, because prices don't seem to mean anything.
Yeah, buying games at launch seems to be just crazy these days. It's like you can get AAA titles for half price, usually 2-3 weeks after launch.
What the hell?
All right, speaking of Battlefield 4, this was actually posted last week by Altis, and Battlefield 4 is now officially banned in China, even talking about it on their largest social media network. I can never remember what that bloody thing is called because I never actually go there, but it's kind of relevant. Hold on,
Weibo?
Is it Weibo?
Weibo? Is
Weeboo?
that it? Weeboo?
I don't know. Can't remember.
We're probably pronouncing it wrong anyway.
Weibo.com. Okay, so no downloads, no patches, no demos, no promotional materials, no news reports about Battlefield 4. China's Ministry of Culture issued a notice prohibiting all materials related to the game in any form, including game downloads. Okay, I apparently wrote that twice. Calling it a threat to national security and a form of cultural aggression. I think they're specifically talking about the China Rising DLC. But Battlefield 4...
single player too.
Including, and I'm going to pronounce this wrong, but it's like San-Di 4 or something like that. Like whatever the Chinese translation of Battlefield 4 is, like that term is just completely banned across the board.
Apparently people are still trading it back and forth using P2P networks, which is actually kind of epic.
Which is unexpected and unusual.
I don't know why anyone would think that was going to happen at all.
What? You can't just erase things from the internet? That was a meme a while ago. When was that?
Who tried doing that?
That was awesome. I think it was the US.
No, I thought it was some actress. She ordered that her pictures be removed from the internet.
Yeah! That was what it was.
I don't remember who it was because I didn't care.
Removed from the...
But I thought it was funny that she thought she could just do that.
Was it like Beyonce or something?
Maybe.
I'll see if it was Beyonce. It seems like the kind of thing. Yeah. Beyonce's publicist asks the internet to remove unflattering Beyonce pictures.
Hello, internet. Can you remove these photos for me, please?
It's like, you know what? The cold hard truth is that, and Beyonce is no exception, most celebrities are not particularly attractive.
My favorite thing is
It's an illusion.
America's Next Top Model.
Ugh.
Not attractive.
Yeah. Not
easy to put makeup on.
Yeah. I mean, the thing about it is just, and I'm not saying that, like, you know, ugly people aren't valuable or something like that. I'm just saying that this unrealistic standard of beauty isn't real. And like, what we think these people look like has nothing to do with anything. Actually, I think South Park probably did it best. That's probably the strongest episode of South Park that I've seen in probably a couple of years. Have you seen the one where
I can imagine.
Wendy goes after all the girls for negative body image because there's one girl that's getting picked on or something, so she photoshops her to look unrealistic and amazing, and then all the boys are all of a sudden like, oh wow, and everyone wants to date her, even though in person she still doesn't actually look any different. She's still a normal person. But then that girl gets an attitude about it, and then all the other girls photoshop themselves, and it turns into a big, I mean, it's South Park, right? So everything goes from bad to worse. But the point of it is unrealistic, and it's dumb. Okay, Haswell-E pricing has been leaked, and there are absolutely no surprises to anyone who has seen an Intel high-end CPU pricing structure in the last decade.
There was people freaking out about this, and I was like, oh, those are numbers that make sense and have been here before.
Okay, so the i7 whatever 60X will be $1,000, just like it's been since the 965X or the 925X or whatever the original one was. That was a long time ago, guys. The whatever 30K will be around 600. Yes, and it's an 8-core now, which is awesome. Both of them are rumored to be 8 cores, and the whatever 20 will be unlocked again, just like IVE, and it will be around 400. It's like. And it's a 6-core now instead of a quad-core. So this positions Haswell-E to actually, in my mind, I'm not disappointed in any way by this. The pricing is exactly where we'd expect it to be, and it will position Haswell-E as a legitimate performance upgrade to the mainstream socket for the first time in a couple generations now. I think this is great.
If you're going for high amount of cores.
Well, yeah, but where else is there going to be more
No,
performance?
I know, but that's, yeah.
And the clock speeds should be similar. I don't see any reason why they wouldn't be.
I think, what one was it? I think they're a little bit lower, are they not?
They might
But
be
then there's
rumored
more
to be a little bit
cores.
lower. Anyway, this was posted by Virus Hun on the forum, and the original article is from Tech Power Up. But at any rate, we're looking at a Haswell refresh sometime in Q4 2014, so we still have to wait about a year for it, and we'll also get an X99 chipset. So after several long years, X79 will finally be replaced. But I'm pretty excited about it. It seems like it should actually matter, unlike Ivy Bridge, quite frankly.
DDR4 will be interesting here.
DDR4 will be uninteresting.
Well, it's going to be interesting because everyone that wants to move to this is going to have to buy new RAM, and it's probably going to be crazy expensive.
Oh, okay.
So instead of, like, for the last while, where people have been able to go, like, okay, new motherboard, new processor, you now have to get new RAM, and with the problems that one factory had, which made a lot of RAM, like, double in price, and the fact that it's going to be new type of RAM, I think it's going to be actually a really significant part of the cost of moving to that platform.
Yeah, we've seen that time and time again. I mean, that and the early growing pains with the new memory technology are terrible. I mean, I don't know if any of you guys watching remember 680i and DDR2. Holy balls, you couldn't get 4 sticks of RAM running in that reference board unless you were, like, blessed by the spirit of Gabe N. Like, it just wasn't gonna work. And I mean, it wasn't like the other platforms were in any better shape. And back when DDR3 first launched, I remember, like, I was building enthusiast grade systems for people at the time, and I'd be like, please buy DDR2. Please buy DDR2 because, you know, it's cross. Oh, wait, no, I'm thinking of DDR1 to DDR2. Sorry. Back when that transition was happening.
I was wondering for a second.
I was like, yeah, please buy DDR1 because the DDR2 version of that board doesn't perform any better and it's a lot more expensive. And yeah, this is super dumb because it's not stable at all. DDR3 had a lot of problems at the beginning too.
So I'm worried about this. I'm worried about it for a few reasons. The price thing, it working at all, availability, all that kind of stuff is kind of sketchy.
It might be pretty mature by then, so that's a thing.
Maybe.
It'll have been available for them to work on for like over a year by that point in time.
It's gonna be an interesting thing that, because there's a lot of good coming with the processor. A lot of people are stoked for the processor.
Yep.
But then there's a lot of not necessarily good coming from something else that I think people are not looking at as much as they maybe should be. And I'm worried about people that are gonna adopt like immediately and jump right on it before anything real information gets out there and any like actual good stability testing, and then get screwed because it costs them a fair amount of money, and then maybe they have this super unstable platform.
So NASA was using Oculus and a Kinect to control a robot arm.
It's actually super cool, and it kind of totally makes sense. Like it's one of the few NASA things that I haven't been like, holy crap, how did you think of that? It's like, oh yeah, people have been pretty much doing that. That makes sense.
Now we're gonna do it in space.
Woo!
Why is
Awesome.
this not playing? Go.
There we
Thank you.
So they have this like triple-fingered robot arm, and it goes pretty. One thing I noticed is it doesn't seem to be like there's a little bit of latency.
Here, hold on. We're gonna pause and let you guys look at that. Ah, we missed it. Go back. Ah, we missed it. There we go. So head-mounted display. I think what they mean to say is Oculus. Motion tracker. Kinect. Robotic arm. And I think what they mean is a MF and robotic arm. So there we go.
Man. What's going on?
It's a touchpad.
There we go. So you can see it's moving with them, but there seems to be slight delay.
Well, it's a Kinect.
Yeah.
So it's a giant piece of
Yeah. So
the old technology.
Xbox One connects for PC.
Yeah.
NASA's probably pretty stoked for that. Yeah, I love the NASA sticker. Pick up block.
Man, that's cool.
It seems to either it doesn't have a ton of strength in the fingers, or it like doesn't apply too much pressure automatically, I hope. Because when he grabs, he closes his fist.
Right. But he's probably just trying to get it to manage to register the motion.
Yeah, definitely. Definitely. Robonaut 2.
Very cool. So actually, I think this ties in pretty nicely with a couple of the other things. So why don't we just go ahead and run through all of these before we start to talk about them? Does that make sense, or do you want to do them one by one?
Run through all of these?
Yeah, because there's the other ones with the camera-mounted Oculus. I guess that's kind of different. Okay, well, I don't know. I don't know what else there's to say about this other than Microsoft, can you please stop treating platforms other than Xbox like second-class citizens? Can we please have support on the PC for the Xbox One controller? Not that I particularly think it's that great or better than the Xbox 360 controller. And can we please have Kinect 2?
I don't even care about the Xbox One controller as long as they keep selling Xbox 360 ones.
I just think it should work.
Yeah, no, I agree.
I think that if you're going to come out and say, yeah, we value PC gamers and PC gaming, and then, yeah, you know, the latest sort of thing we spent, like, you know, years and years and all this money developing is only for our console customers.
It's kind of really weird.
Yeah,
I
it's
don't like that at
kind of
all.
ridiculous. Where did those other ones go?
What are you talking
Did
about?
we already talk about
They're
them?
in the topic.
Oh.
That's why I was confused as you were scrolling around. You were highlighting them, almost.
No,
There's the
no,
YouTube
not
video.
that one.
Okay, what are you talking about?
I'm
then?
talking about the camera-mounted thing.
Yeah, that's there.
That's that?
Yes.
I thought they were separate, somewhere else in the dock.
No, because I found those while I was researching this one.
Oh. Okay, well, at any rate, here's some other cool videos. If I could find the thing.
So the Thingiverse is where the idea
Here we go.
originated from, so we should see that one first.
All right, so let's check this one out.
So MakerBot Thingiverse has this whole thing so you can mount a camera on the front of an Oculus Rift.
Yep.
And if you scroll down a little bit and change what picture is displaying, they actually show you like exactly how it kind of works. And it's not super complicated, and you're essentially able to 3D print this yourself, which is really cool. And the idea is that it can see outward.
Yeah,
Which
so
is
there's a
kind of
short
awesome.
video here where they demo it with... So you can use a camera to create a virtual environment around you that you can then interact with using the Oculus. So because of the front-mounted camera, you actually have much finer detail in terms of what your hands are doing. So you could use gestures, you can pick things up and move them around like we're seeing in the demo video. And that's pretty much all there is in this demo video. Things don't get like real crazy until the second one here. So this was a guy who is using that 3D printed thing for his own little experiment.
So he 3D printed one and added a rubber band, which is pretty simple.
Pretty innovative, if you ask me. All right, so here he's showing the setup. Okay.
So he got a USB battery pack to power the Oculus Rift box, and then he has a USB extension for it to go to the computer, and he has HDMI, I believe, as well.
Yeah, something like that. Okay, let's not worry too much about that. You guys can check out the video if you want. As always, we're going to post the WAN Show doc in the forum thread.
So this is with him just using a Kinect.
It's important to see him here in the corner here. Actually, I'm going to make this full screen so you guys can check it out.
There we go.
So there we go. So he's crouching and able to look at and under and interact with objects because he's using the Kinect for full body tracking. Again, it's Kinect 1, which is a steaming pile of poo, and I wish that we had better stuff than that. And then using Oculus and the camera in order to be able to interact with his hands, as well as, well, mostly the hands. And just look around and stuff. This is cool. And you could even, in theory, use it to build a full 3D environment.
If
Like,
you
could
had
play-
like the right other setup to go with it.
Because think about how something like Parrot AR Drone works. It's kind of similar. So it's got a camera, it knows where it exists within space, and it can see other AR drones for like an augmented reality game. Can you imagine if we had a couple like battery-powered Oculuses and we could run around this house holding like plastic laser guns and like shoot at each other, and the augmented reality could do things like, okay, here, hold on. Picture this in your mind, okay? If we could do things like, you know, peek around a corner and like blast something and like the shards of the wall would fall away. Because if like, okay, if you could walk around the house and create the map first,
Yeah,
you
if
could
you
even
had,
have a
like-
destructible environment.
Maybe if you could walk around with a 3D camera and then like load it into something that you have, like say you wore a backpack.
Yes.
To do some type of processing, and that's where the HDMI cable goes. And then you could load a map, which is mapped out of your environment. And just like, don't move things. Like, don't be an idiot and don't move things.
We're not that far away from like really exciting augmented reality gaming. Anyway, what
Like
he's...
Linus Media Group headquarters Counter-Strike map.
I know. Anyway, what he's doing right now is he's using hand gestures. You can see it's not perfect at the moment by any stretch, but he's using hand gestures to do things like change the skybox to a different setting. Here, I'm going to go ahead and try to exit full screen mode. Please register my keystrokes. Wow.
Brutal.
Hate the keyboard.
Someone disliked this video. What's wrong with people?
Yeah. Okay, small interaction radius from the 3D camera. Where does he change the skybox? Is it here?
It's his right hand.
Yeah, I don't remember. Oh, bollocks. Okay, well, whatever. You guys can check out the video. It's really cool. It doesn't have a ton of views, but it's definitely worth a look. I think we're getting pretty close to the end. We
We're getting
have
close.
Asus talking about their ROG
Talking
G-Sync
about.
monitor, well, making a video about.
Rough to say they released like any information at all.
Posted by Assassin on the forum. And this is pretty much it. It's 30 seconds of... Okay, so hold on. 2 seconds of ROG logo. Okay. So that was about 8 seconds of there's a G-Sync chip, or some NVIDIA chip. They haven't even really clarified that in the video itself. Okay, more ROG logo, so that was about another 2 seconds of ROG logo.
There's some buttons.
Yeah, there was about 2 seconds of ID of the monitor, and then about another 3.5 seconds of that. Then there's like a couple seconds of a random robot, then about another 6 seconds of more Asus logo.
Get excited!
Get excited! I am not excited. Because the problem is that ROG is gaming. No compromise is gaming. And I'm willing to compromise some things about the gaming experience to make my overall experience with a product better. So the ultimate gaming keyboard might use Cherry MX Red key switches. I don't care. Because Cherry MX Reds are unpleasant for me to type on. And I type.
I'm not a professional gamer, and changing from blues to reds would not make me in any noticeable way better.
Yeah. So there you go, guys. I am really excited to see what kind of 2.5K IPS monitors with G-Sync we might see, because that will be on my Christmas wish list for next year.
And we
That's
don't
for sure.
know, it's going to be expensive. We don't know what this is, but I'm guessing it's probably 1080p 144 Hz.
Yeah,
1
that would be my
millisecond.
guess.
That's probably what it is.
I think competition is going to drive pricing down on G-Sync faster than most people do. I think that it's not going to sell well until it reaches reasonably close to price parity with other monitors, and then it'll take off.
It can't be like $170 more
No.
than a $270
Which
monitor.
is ludicrous. It's way too expensive right now, but the thing about it being way too expensive right now is that it doesn't even really exist yet.
Yeah.
I mean, people are paying an early adopter tax.
Especially with, like, when there's one store that has it.
Yes.
And they have it early, like you're paying extra because that store
Yeah,
has
you're
it.
paying everyone extra for that.
Yeah.
All
That
right.
makes sense. The
So-
big one.
Yeah, I posted this on Facebook earlier this week, and people seemed to seemed to be pretty upset. I mean, the fact of the matter is, I never bought Order of War,
Me neither.
so I don't care about it for that.
This is a specific version. I think you can still get a different Order of War on Steam, actually, if I remember correctly. But this is Order of War something.
Yeah, sure. Anyway,
It's like a different vengeance.
it doesn't exist
or
anymore,
whatever.
so I guess it doesn't matter.
Haha!
Heyo!
Oh man.
So Valve actually removed Order of War from users' Steam libraries.
Order of War Challenge.
Order of War Challenge, thank you. Now, there are a couple of reasons for it. Actually, do you want to handle this one?
So essentially, yeah, and it looks like you can still get actual just Order of War for $8 on Steam. It's still, I think that one's still available. But if you go to the Steam page for Order of War Challenge, it's like gone, and there's just discussions of people going like, "How do I get a refund?" So essentially what happened is Square Enix shut down the public servers because there wasn't that many people playing the game. There were still people playing the game, just not a ton of traffic, and it was costing them more to run the server than it should have, I guess, because there wasn't enough people playing the game. It's not a subscription game.
I wouldn't
so-
think you'd need that many servers if there's nobody playing it.
And hopefully virtualize it so it can change and like use a certain percentage.
Anyway.
Because that's what modern people do. But anyways, they closed down the servers because of that, and it was an online-only DRM-based game. So
Yeah.
if you shut down the servers, there's nothing for your DRM game to connect to, and you can't play it. So it's unplayable and was therefore removed from Steam.
What a problem. I mean, Valve has said about their own titles that if they ever delete Steam or something, they will make the games available in a
Yep.
DRM-free form to anyone who bought them.
Yep. And
However, Valve doesn't control what the other game developers who list their games on Steam do.
exactly, and with Valve terms of service, and I don't like it, but yeah. Anyways, with Valve's terms of service, you're leasing things. You don't own them.
Yeah, when you buy software, whether it's a disc or whether it's a digital copy, in every EULA, you are buying a license to use it.
Yeah.
You are not buying it. You do not own it.
There's certain DRM free games where you can launch it no matter what, but
Yes.
when you're leasing a game that has a DRM that doesn't make it so you can launch it no matter what,
And I'm not talking about open source, obviously, but I'm talking
or
about
there's a few other things.
yeah. There's a few other things. There's freeware and open source and shareware and like there's a lot of different types of things. But when we're talking about games, typically none of that applies. You are buying a license to use it.
Yeah, so yeah, it's just kind of gross because there's actually a lot of games right now that have online only DRM, meaning that this is going to actually happen quite a bit eventually because you can't be like, oh well, my Steam library looks the same as it did 7 years ago. Yeah, this whole online only DRM thing hasn't really been a thing that whole time. It's
Yeah.
more recent, so we're actually going to see the fallout of this in the future, not now. We're starting to see it.
And the author of the Hexus article brought up a really interesting point. What is my Steam library going to look like in 10 years? Because Square Enix might not be the most customer-friendly company, but there are plenty of other not that customer-friendly companies out there that might go, you know what? It's too much work to keep the server up. It's too much work to send out a new patch that makes it DRM-free, so whatever.
And like, I believe Wargaming is attached to this, and if you look at it, World of Tanks. If they shut down the servers, all of that money that you've poured into the game is gone.
Whether it was on tanks or whether it was on whatever. Anything that's not expendable like ammunition.
You see it right now as a permanent thing, but if they shut down the servers at some point, it's gone. And that's how that's going to work.
With the way that most mainstream gamers move from one game to the next game,
it won't matter too much.
it won't matter to too many people. And I think that's why they did this for this particular title. I think if it had been StarCraft 1 where Blizzard was like, okay, we're shutting down the Battle.net servers, so, pack up your CDs and mail them to us. We're no longer licensing this software. Like, that would have caused outrage, but since it's a game that very few people were actually playing, I suspect most of the people asking for refunds were probably people who weren't playing the game anyway.
And they're just trying to get money back.
And they're just trying to get some money out of it.
Yep, I actually think that's probably the exact same thing. Although there is going to be that group of people that were probably a fairly hardcore community, because reading up on this game, I never bought it, apparently was not super noob friendly. Apparently it was actually kind of hard. So a lot of people didn't really play it a ton because of that, because it's not a super popular game and it's really difficult.
Right.
So there was a few, as far as I can tell, again, I never owned it, so I don't really know. As far as I can tell, there was a smaller community of hardcores. I don't know, it's interesting. And it's going to become more and more of a problem. So a lot of people have been blaming everyone and everything that they possibly can. But it brings up the question, whose fault is this? And
Square Enix.
Yeah, Square Enix. A lot of people have been slapping Steam for this.
What?
A lot of people have been slapping Steam for this.
Okay, you people, you're wrong.
If you look at, I've got a few links in here which we'll be publishing the doc later. If you look at the store page, you can see tons of people complaining. If you look elsewhere, even on the store page, there have been people complaining to Steam and getting refunds from Steam. And if you look at the community message that Steam pushed out, it says directly, where's the community message? That's the store news link that I posted in there. If you look there, it's orders, product update by Valve, order of war challenge servers shut down. The first line, message from Square Enix. And then a huge link about how, oh, we're sorry and it's unfortunate and we know there's people that still play the game, but we're shutting it down because it's not profitable anymore, blah, 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 blah. Here's a link to complain. And people are complaining to Steam and trying to get refunds from Steam. So I kind of actually feel bad for Steam. I'm not defending them to the end of the earth because Steam is DRM in itself, blah, 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 blah. But I just kind of accept it because Steam's actually pretty good with their own stuff. Valve is actually pretty good with their own stuff, which is really cool. And if you're freaked out, there are other options that still interface with Steam because you can go to something like the Humble Bundle store. And if you look on the Humble Bundle store, I think literally everything is Steam compatible. And then if you look even closer, there's games that'll have DRM free boxes on there. So if you buy it there, you get a Steam key and you get a DRM free download.
Yeah, so things like, and not even just like crappy games, like Trine 2, for example.
Trine 2, DRM free download. Rogue Legacy, which while I believe it's indie, I don't actually remember off the top of my head, but it's still huge game, DRM free. Like there's so there's options out there, and you can still use Steam if you still like that platform. Also, if you're going to use something like GOG Gaming or whatever, you can do that whole Steam add to game list thing, which works really, really well. And it's completely fine, and Steam's not going to take that away from you because that makes
Valve shall not take the Lord Gaben's name in vain, or any of his
my bad
trademarks that he owns.
Yeah, so like I don't know, I would.
It's a sin.
Stop the Steam hate because it's not their fault.
Yeah.
Their policies allowed it to happen, but it
would have happened anyway.
And it happened with a game that you probably knew was online only DRM.
So it would have happened anyway. And you wouldn't have been able to use the game with Steam all this time.
Well, you could have done the added thing.
Right. And that even works with NVIDIA Game Stream. I was playing Alice Madness Returns, and even though I have a disc copy that's not a Steam key, and I was installing it, and I was like, what is this Stone Age technology?
Ancient.
It was the first time I'd used my optical drive, like, last calendar year.
I don't have one.
Basically an entire year. But I installed it, and it took forever, too. I was like, what? This is stupid. Anyway, so I installed the game, and I just added it, and then GameStream worked just like that. So
that's really cool, actually.
Even though it's not a GeForce Experience title, and it wasn't properly fully integrated with Steam.
Right.
Anyway, I think that's pretty much it for the show, guys. Do you want to talk about changes to build logs of the week?
So last week in the after party, we did a massive poll and trying to get everyone to get ideas together, and I posted a sticky in the build log section, which was basically asking, like, what the heck do you guys want to do with build logs, because it's not going to work this way, and I really want to keep it going because you guys care and we care and all that kind of stuff. But it's become unfeasible with the size of the forum now and how fast everything goes for us to actually see every build log that's coming in, and it's becoming really, really difficult to sort through the ones that have been actually finished this week. that's been really hard because we see people posting this week, and I can see that timestamp, but it's really hard to, and people are commenting on ones this week that have been done a long time ago, and it's been really hard to actually track which ones are specifically done this week. So we've come up with a conclusion, which is going to take a bit of work from Mr. Wizard and myself, probably mainly Mr. Wizard, because it's kind of crazy and confusing. But it is coming. It is not here yet, though. So yeah, we don't have build logs of the week this week. That's a really high number, but it's coming, and it's going to be actually pretty cool. And the build logs forum is not going to work. It's probably not going to work exactly the same as how the rest of the forum works.
Okay.
Because it's going to work on this interesting. We're trying to see how this will work, but it's going to work on an interesting sorting system where you can see what has been finished and what is in progress based on forced tags that everyone has to implement and use and change and stuff.
And that'll help us with some new forum features or site features that are potentially coming in the future as well.
Yeah, there's a bunch of changes coming to build logs, huge changes coming to build logs. So yeah, the build logs of the week changes thread. I guess I can just lock it now. I hadn't locked it yet because we knew we weren't going to be able to implement the ideas immediately. So I had an original end date of Wednesday. But I just kind of let it spill forward. But we kind of know what we're doing now. If that idea doesn't work, there's a few other ideas that we're going to try.
Yeah, we've been in business for a year, and that's the conclusion. We kind of know what we're doing now. Kind of.
Kind of. Not entirely sure if it'll work. But yeah, there's a bunch of ideas, and there's a bunch of fallback ideas, and we're good with that now. So thank you, everyone, for your contribution of ideas. And that's about it. No build logs for this week, but they will be coming as soon as possible.
Okay.
No confirmed date. I'm going to pull an EA on this one.
Thank you guys so much for watching the show today. I'm sorry we didn't have a special guest for you guys, but you know what? Hit me up on Twitter and let me know if you would like us to do maybe every other week with a guest as opposed to having a guest all the time. Or, I mean, we love taking your feedback. And shows are something that we are going to be focusing on in 2014. I actually had some people asking me what the plan is for Linus Media Group for 2014. I still want to do a daily show. I'm not sure if it's going to stick anymore, so there's that.
Developers.
Yeah, no. We're not hiring more developers. We are going to try to hire 1 to 2 more people. So that's going to be one of the things for this year. We are going to continue to focus on improving our production values. So at some point, I will get that thing going where I ask you guys to help me buy a bunch of equipment because we are going to need it, especially if we want to build better sets for our shows. Like, I hate this. This is stupid. It's like boxes behind us. It looks
I love how a lot of them are on like angles, and some of them are actually the side of the box. Not like this is the width of that box.
I know. We need proper set pieces. We need to be able to like paint the wall. I mean, part of the reason there are boxes back there is because all the walls in this place are horrible colors. We need to do some painting. So that's another thing that we're going to be doing. And I think there was one other thing and we are going to continue to develop the website as a community site as opposed to just a forum. But don't worry, the forum will still be awesome.
Yeah.
So there you guys have it. Thank you for watching the WAN Show today. We'll see you guys in 2 weeks. No WAN Show next week. We will be at CES.
Last week you teased people saying that there might be a WAN show. Well, we're at CES.
If we can find a way to do it. I don't know.
I don't think we'll be able to, but
I mean, if we
could try.
Here, let me fire up. I have your calendar on my calendar, right?
Yeah. If not, I can load up mine right now just in case. You should have mine. You should be able to just turn it on. Yeah, it's on.
In theory, I don't have anything in that spot.
Me neither.
We'll see.
Maybe if we did a later one.
Okay, so stay tuned on Twitter. At Linus Tech on Twitter.
We don't know, but we'll try.
Or follow on Facebook. I have more Facebook likes than Twitter followers now.
I think...
Isn't that crazy?
Is the forum getting close to your Twitter?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, Twitter has actually really slowed down in terms of growth. Like the community aspect of LinusTechTips.com, of Facebook, and even Google Plus is closing in pretty fast. I think I have like 22,000 plus ones, whatever those are, on Google Plus.
Likes.
Are they likes?
I think.
I don't know, man. Whatever it is, like it's Twitter I like because it's really easy to interact with people one-on-one, whereas even on Facebook, like the way that conversations are handled is terrible. On YouTube, the way that comments are handled is still terrible. Half the people will ask me a question and there's no reply button because they don't have their accounts merged or whatever else. I'm just like, hey man, I actually saw your comment, I was poised to reply to you. I couldn't because there's no reply button.
I hate Twitter. Almost every single time if I'm going to respond to someone, there's no way that character count is enough.
Yeah, that's
Unless I'm
that's
just
an
like,
issue.
go to the forum. Which usually I would like to actually answer someone.
Yeah.
Because if I'm sitting on a computer, I'm not live in the show and I can take way longer to explain what I'm talking about. And I've had a few people where I'm just like, dude, just PM me. And he's ended up PMing me and then I can write my short essays about
Right.
it. But like, oh.
And you probably drove a forum sign up at the same time.
Woohoo!
Yay. All right. Peace out, guys.
Bye.